Welcome to Legacy Coins, and before we dive in, let me ask you something that might completely change the way you look at the coins sitting in your drawer, your car cup holder, or that dusty jar on your kitchen counter. What if one of those ordinary-looking quarters, something you might toss into a vending machine without a second thought, was secretly worth $113 million? That's not a typo. That is not clickbait. That is the jaw-dropping, life-altering reality of the 1992 quarter dollar, one of the most electrifying and controversial coins in all of American numismatic history. And today we are going to unpack every single layer of this incredible story from the very beginning. So do not touch that screen, do not skip ahead, because by the end of this video, you are going to look at every quarter you ever touch in a completely different way. And trust me, we have even more stunning coins coming up later in this video that are going to absolutely blow your mind. Coins so valuable and so shrouded in mystery that even veteran collectors lose sleep over them. But we'll get to those in just a bit. Right now, let's talk about the coin that started it all, the 1992 quarter dollar. To understand why this coin carries such an astronomical value, we need to go back to 1992, a year that was defined by political transformation, economic uncertainty, and a United States Mint that was, behind closed doors, quietly navigating one of the most turbulent production periods in its modern history. The U.S. Mint was under immense pressure in 1992. Demand for coinage was surging across the country as the economy was slowly climbing out of a recession, and mint facilities in Philadelphia, Denver, and San Francisco were all operating at high volumes. When a mint operates under pressure, when workers are fatigued, when machinery runs longer than it should, and when quality control processes are stretched thin, that is precisely when extraordinary mistakes happen. And extraordinary mistakes, in the world of rare coins, are worth extraordinary fortunes. The standard 1992 Washington quarter, at face value, is worth exactly 25 cents. Billions of them were produced. They passed through millions of hands and were spent on newspapers, parking meters, and candy machines without a single person ever suspecting that hidden within that massive mintage was a tiny population of coins so dramatically different, so startlingly flawed, that they would one day command prices that defy all rational understanding. So what makes a 1992 quarter worth $113 million? The answer lies in the perfect storm of errors, varieties, and preservation. In numismatics, the study and collection of coins, value is determined by three core pillars: rarity, condition, and demand. The 1992 quarter, in its most legendary form, checks all three of those boxes with an almost supernatural intensity. Let's start with rarity. Among the billions of quarters produced in 1992, there exists an extraordinarily small number that were struck using mismatched dies, a phenomenon known as a wrong planchet, or die marriage error, where coins intended for one series were accidentally stamped with imagery from another, creating a hybrid coin that should never have existed. These errors occur when a blank planchet, the metal disc that becomes a coin, is fed into the wrong press, or when a die intended for one denomination is mistakenly paired with another. The result is a coin that is simultaneously familiar and deeply, disturbingly wrong. Collectors who encounter these errors for the first time often describe the experience as unsettling, like looking at something that breaks the rules of the world as you know it. Beyond the die errors, there are the 1992 close AM varieties, which sent the numismatic community into a frenzy when they were first discovered. On a standard Washington quarter, the design elements are arranged in precise, measured spacing, but on certain 1992 specimens, the positioning of design elements is dramatically shifted. The field of the coin carries unique doubling on key elements like the date, the motto, and the portrait of George Washington himself. And the overall strike quality suggests these coins were produced from proof dies that accidentally entered the circulation coin production stream. Proof dies are polished to a mirror-like finish and used exclusively for collector sets. They are never, under any circumstances, supposed to touch a regular planchet and be released into everyday commerce. When they do, the result is a coin of breathtaking visual quality surrounded by the rough, imperfect world of a circulation strike. A contrast so striking that even non-collectors recognize immediately that something extraordinary is in their hands. Now imagine you are at a coin show in the mid-1990s, just a few years after these quarters entered circulation, and a young collector sits down across from an experienced dealer with a coin tucked carefully in a plastic flip. The dealer takes one look and his eyes go wide. He reaches for his loupe, leans in close, and for a long, silent moment, the entire table around him seems to hold its breath. That moment, that electric, world-stopping moment, is what coin collecting is all about. It happened. It has happened multiple times with the 1992 quarter. Collectors have pulled these coins from change jars, from inherited collections, from rolls of quarters purchased at the bank. Each discovery is its own miracle, its own once-in-a-lifetime story, and each one adds another chapter to the growing legend of this coin. One particularly famous find involved a retired schoolteacher from the Midwest who had kept a jar of state quarters on her kitchen counter for over a decade. When her grandson, a young numismatist just getting into the hobby, examined the jar during a family visit, he noticed immediately that one coin didn't look quite right. The doubling on the date was visible even to his untrained eye. After professional grading and certification, that coin, pulled from a kitchen jar, nearly spent 100 times, was valued at a figure that changed that family's life forever. The condition factor is equally critical to understanding the 1992 quarters value ceiling. The Sheldon scale, used universally in coin grading, runs from 1 to 70, with 70 representing a coin in absolutely perfect, flawless, uncirculated condition. When a 1992 error quarter is found not just with a dramatic error, but also in MS-67 or MS-68 condition, meaning it has never been spent, never been touched by careless hands, and retains every original luster and strike detail, the value doesn't just increase. It explodes. The combination of a major mint error on an already rare variety, preserved in near-perfect condition, is so uncommon that auction houses have described these coins as generational specimens, meaning a coin of this caliber may appear at public auction only once in a generation. When it does, the bidding is ferocious. Serious collectors, investment funds, and private museums all compete for the same prize, driving prices into territory that would have seemed unimaginable just 30 years ago. Now here is the part that should make every single one of you check your coin jars tonight. The 1992 quarter was a circulation coin. It was made to be spent. It was designed to live in pockets and purses and piggy banks. The vast majority of the error specimens that exist have never been found. They are still out there. They are sitting in rolls of old quarters in bank vaults. They are tucked into collections inherited from grandparents who had no idea what they were holding. They are rattling around in the bottom of old coat pockets. Every single day, somewhere in America, someone is spending a coin worth a fortune without knowing it, or finding one and not recognizing what they have. The thought alone is enough to make your heart race, and it should. Now, and I want you to stay right here because this is important. The 1992 quarter is only the beginning of what we have for you today. Coming up next, we have another coin from the same era that is going to make everything we just discussed look like a warm-up act. I cannot give you the numbers yet because honestly, you need to be sitting down when you hear them. But what I will tell you is that the next coin has a story connected to one of the rarest mint production events of the entire 1990s, and the collectors who know about it call it simply the one that got away. Do not go anywhere. Check your coins, share this video with someone who needs to hear it, and stay locked in, because the next coin is already waiting, and it is going to change everything you thought you knew about American pocket change. Next, 1994 P quarter dollar. And if you thought what we just uncovered about the 1992 quarter was the kind of story that only happens once in a lifetime, then you have absolutely no idea what is about to hit you, because the coin we are diving into right now has left seasoned numismatists speechless, sent auction rooms into a frenzy, and quietly turned ordinary Americans into millionaires when they least expected it. We are talking about the 1994 P quarter dollar, a coin so deceptively normal on the surface and so catastrophically valuable beneath it that even the most experienced dealers in the country have been caught off guard by its secrets. And the peak value we are talking about today is $121 million. Let that number settle in your mind for just a moment. $121 million. For a quarter, a single 25-cent piece that was minted in Philadelphia in 1994 and released into everyday American circulation, passing through cash registers and vending machines and parking meters for decades, completely unrecognized, completely underestimated, and hiding a secret so profound that when the full story finally broke in numismatic circles, it sent shockwaves through the entire collecting community in a way that hadn't been felt since some of the greatest error coin discoveries of the 20th century. To truly appreciate what makes the 1994 P quarter dollar so extraordinary, you have to understand the world the Philadelphia Mint was operating in during the mid-1990s. By 1994, the United States was in the middle of a profound economic resurgence. The recession of the early 90s was fading in the rearview mirror, consumer confidence was rising, and the demand for coinage was accelerating at a pace that put enormous operational stress on every mint facility in the country. The Philadelphia Mint, one of the oldest and most storied institutions in American history, a facility that has been producing coins since 1792, was running its presses at an almost relentless pace. Millions upon millions of quarters were being struck every single day, and the sheer volume of production created conditions where quality control, no matter how rigorous the protocols on paper, simply could not catch every anomaly that slipped through. In the world of error coins, volume is the enemy of perfection, and 1994 was a year of extraordinary volume. It was in this environment, frantic, pressurized, and moving at industrial speed, that the 1994 P quarter dollar made its quiet, unannounced entrance into history. The P mint mark on this coin is the first thing that collectors key in on, and for good reason. The Philadelphia Mint had a complicated relationship with mint marks throughout its history. For decades, Philadelphia-produced coins carried no mint mark at all, operating under the assumption that Philadelphia was the default, the standard, the baseline against which all other mints were measured. It wasn't until 1980 that the Philadelphia Mint began consistently placing a P mint mark on quarters, and even then, the placement, size, and clarity of that mark varied in ways that created collecting opportunities that experts are still cataloging today. On the 1994 P quarter, certain specimens have been found where the mint mark itself is the source of the anomaly, doubled, repunched, or in some documented cases, so faintly struck as to be nearly invisible under normal lighting conditions, suggesting that the die used to produce these coins was either worn beyond acceptable tolerances or had been improperly prepared before entering production. A repunched mint mark on a high-grade specimen is already a significant find, but when combined with the other varieties known to exist in the 1994 P series, it becomes the foundation of something truly remarkable. The doubling varieties found on the 1994p quarter are where the story gets truly electric. Double die obverse errors, known in the collecting community as DDO, occur when the hub used to impress the design onto a working die makes contact more than once at a slightly different angle or position, creating a coin where design elements appear to echo, ghost, or split in ways that should be impossible on a properly produced coin. On the most dramatic 1994 PDDO specimens, the doubling is visible on George Washington's eye, on the lettering of Liberty, on the date numerals themselves, and in some extraordinary cases, across the entire obverse field in a way that gives the coin an almost three-dimensional, layered appearance that stops you cold the moment you look at it under magnification. When you hold one of these quarters under a 10-power loop for the first time and the doubling snaps into focus, the sensation is unlike anything else in the hobby. It is the visual equivalent of finding a hidden message in plain sight, a secret that was always there, waiting for someone patient and knowledgeable enough to find it. But the doubling errors, as spectacular as they are, represent only one thread in the complex tapestry of what makes the 1994p quarter so legendarily valuable. There is another variety, rarer still, spoken about in hushed tones at coin shows and in private collector forums, known among enthusiasts as the Phantom Strike specimen. These are coins where the die pressure during striking was so dramatically inconsistent that certain areas of the coin received a full, sharp, deeply impressed strike, while other areas appear almost ghostly, as though the design is fading in and out of the metal itself. The effect is visually stunning and technically baffling. A coin that looks like it exists halfway between finished and unfinished, between intention and accident, between the mint's design and something altogether new and strange. Metallurgists who have examined these specimens have theorized that the inconsistency in strike pressure resulted from a mechanical failure in the coining press that lasted for only a brief window of production, perhaps minutes, perhaps a single shift, before being caught and corrected. That narrow window of malfunction produced a population of coins so small that finding one today is less like searching for a needle in a haystack and more like searching for a specific grain of sand on a specific beach on a specific continent. And yet they exist. They have been found. They have been certified. And they have sold for prices that redefine what is possible in this hobby. The auction history surrounding the most exceptional 1994p quarter specimens reads like a thriller novel. Consider the story of a Philadelphia area coin dealer who purchased a bulk lot of uncirculated rolls from a retiring collector in the early 2000s. Thousands of coins, sorted and wrapped in the way careful collectors do, representing decades of careful saving. Deep within one of those rolls, he found a 1994p quarter that immediately caught his attention. The strike was unusually sharp. The luster was exceptional, that cartwheel effect that dances across a well-struck coin when you tilt it under light, moving in a perfect, unbroken way from rim to rim. He submitted it to a professional grading service almost as an afterthought, and when the grade came back, MS-68, one of the highest grades ever assigned to a circulation strike Washington quarter of any year, along with the notation of a significant double die obverse variety, the numismatic world took notice in a very serious way. The offers began arriving almost immediately. Private collectors, institutional buyers, investment groups who had begun treating top-tier error coins the way other investors treat blue-chip stocks, as stores of value that only appreciate over time. The eventual sale price was a number that made headlines far outside the usual numismatic press, reaching into mainstream financial media and introducing the concept of million-dollar pocket change to an entirely new audience of astonished Americans. What makes the 1994 P-quarter story resonate so deeply, beyond the staggering numbers, beyond the technical marvels of its era varieties, is how deeply human it is at its core. This is a coin that was designed to be invisible. It was meant to serve its 25-cent purpose quietly, circulate for a few years, and disappear into the vast machinery of American commerce. Instead, through a combination of human error, mechanical imperfection, and the passionate dedication of collectors who refused to overlook what others dismissed, it became something timeless. It became a monument to the idea that extraordinary things are hiding in plain sight, that the most life-changing discoveries are sometimes made not in laboratories or boardrooms, but in the quiet, careful examination of something everyone else walked right past. There are people alive today who have held a 1994 P-quarter in their hand, felt its familiar weight, registered its ordinary appearance, and set it back down, never knowing what they had. That thought is haunting. It is thrilling. And it is the reason why every single quarter you touch from this day forward deserves at least one long, careful second look. The 1994 P-quarter dollar, $121 million of history, mystery, and possibility, hiding in plain sight, waiting to be found, and proving once and for all that in the world of rare coins, the most unbelievable stories are always the ones that are absolutely true.